Right guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm just going to be showing you how to remove a Shimano square taper bottom bracket from your bike. So we'll go ahead, we'll run through the steps. Right, so as you can see, here we have the chain ring, the square taper, crank arm, square taper bottom bracket in here. Now these come on, like I say, on various bikes. You can have square taper bottom brackets, mountain bikes, road bikes, hybrid bikes. A lot of them still come with square taper bottom brackets, and if you want to know, like I say, how to remove it to replace your bottom bracket, or you want to remove it to put new chain rings on, if yours aren't detachable, you can't take the actual rings off the crank arms and you want to put a new set of crank arms on and chain rings, then I'll go ahead, we'll run through some steps of how to remove it. Right, so the first step is remove the nut out of the end that's holding, that's going into the end there. Now you should be able to undo this 8mm hex head, so you can either use an 8mm socket with a ratchet if you got one, or an Allen key like so, and undo it. It might be tight, you can hold the crank arm and then break it loose, then you can just carry on undoing it and you can remove that out of the way. So once you've got that out of the way, put it to one side ready for cleaning, and then first thing you want to check is how clean the threads are in the end here. On the outside there you can see all the threads. Now this is, the crank arms are aluminium, so what you want to do is check those threads first, clean them out, get some degreaser in there and wipe them round, clean them out properly, make sure there's nothing in there, any grit or anything, and then with your extractor tool like so, just wind it back like that so there's nothing visible on the end. And then what you want to do is start the threads off, and being as the tool is metal and the crank arm's aluminium, you want to make sure that you don't cross thread the tool. It's got to start perfectly clean in there. Sometimes they can be difficult to start, and other times you'll just start it straight away like so. So start that off and keep winding. I'm not doing anything with the outside, I'm just winding in the inner part. Just wind it all the way in until it stops. Now it has got a shape on it for a nut, for a spanner. So if you've got a spanner, you can go ahead and you can just snug it up. Not tight, just literally snug it up. So you can do it by hand. You don't have to use a spanner on it, but stop it slipping or anything, just snug that down like so. Once you've done that, then you can hold on the crank arm with your hand and then do up the tool like so. So if you've got one that hasn't got a handle on it and just got the end on it like so, you can get a ratchet and do the end up. So you want to do that up until it stops moving like so. As soon as it stops, then what you want to do is hold the crank arm and then keep on doing it up like so. And as you're doing that, as you're doing this up, all it's doing is pushing that in, and it's forcing the crank arm off of the taper, the square taper. So you just keep on doing it. Now you might have one that's really tight to undo, so one without the handle on it is beneficial at that stage because the handle's quite short, so you might have to put something over the end of this handle to extend it, because some of them can be really hard to get off, especially if you've never had it off before. So the ones on the end, you could put a bigger bar on it, a socket, and a longer extension bar. So you just keep turning it, and as you're doing that, it's pulling the crank arm off. So you just keep doing it up and you'll feel it coming off like so, and there you have it. I say what's happened is it's come through, it's pushed on the end of there and it's pulled it off. So Once you've done that, then what you want to do is get your spanner out like so, undo that first nut. You can back the tool out first, like so, and then undo the inner one, being careful with it, like so. And that's how you remove the chain set off of there, like so, with the crank arm. If you want to change your crank arm and you haven't got one that you can change the chain rings on, because they're built with one piece, then you can get it off just like that. I say the same thing applies. I'll run through the opposite side, same thing applies to that side. Right, so same thing applies. We just undo the 8mm there. Wind it all the way out, like so, and put it to one side, like I said, for cleaning it up. And then get the tool again, wind it back out so that it's flush with the end, like so. And then we'll start it off again. Make sure your threads are perfectly clean, there isn't any debris in there or anything. You don't want to cross thread the tool on there. Starting it off, make sure it's going in nice and straight. So it's clockwise for doing these up, this tool. Same on both sides. Like I said, do it up until it stops, like so. And then just snug it up, the spanner, and do the same thing again. Tighten it up until it stops. Hold your crank arm and clockwise keep going until it starts to pull it off. And off it comes, and then just undo that again, wind your tool out, and like that. And there you go. So that's how you remove the actual arms. So now I'll just go ahead and run through the steps removing the actual cartridge bottom bracket. Right, so before we remove the square taper cartridge, make sure that the splines in there that match up with your tool are cleaned. Make sure you get a paintbrush, degreaser, and clean all the muck out that might have got stuck in there over the years and it's built up, because if you don't, the tool won't engage properly into the actual splines and it could slip off easily. So make sure you've cleaned it all out before you go ahead and start trying to remove it. Right, so when it comes to removing the actual cartridge, the bottom bracket itself, what you want to do is, if your bike has got a cable guide underneath, what you want to do is just slacken off the screwdriver, Phillips screwdriver bit, just slacken that off a few turns. And then, because sometimes that screw can be going up through and actually touching the bottom bracket cartridge inside and just resting on it. So when it comes to actually removing this end, this side, the non-drive side, some of them have a plastic cup here and some of them can have a metal cup. So if you see it's plastic, then the tool for both sides, like I say, is a 20 spline tool, like so. And what you can do is that fits in there like that. You can use your open-ended adjustable on it, or a big spanner. This one takes 32mm, so it's fair size. You can use that on it, but if they're really tight, especially the drive side, then you might struggle. The best thing to do is get a 32mm socket and a ratchet, and you can even get a bigger bar, a couple of foot extension bar. So this side being the non-drive side, you can undo this side. So we'll undo this side. To undo it, it's anti-clockwise, So once it starts to undo, then you can wind it out. They do have quite a few threads on them, like so. That's the plastic cup off of the non-drive side, so I'll go ahead, we'll do the drive side. Right, so same thing applies to the drive side. This side you're going to remove the whole cartridge, not just a cap on the end like the non-drive side was. So you place your tool on there. If you haven't had this side, if you haven't had it out before, it can be tight to undo. So I recommend a bar or decent size ratchet. So this side, being the drive side, is clockwise to undo it. So break it loose, keep undoing it. So sometimes they come out easy, other times you have to keep on ratcheting it to get it to come out, and it'll go easy after a while. But once you broke it loose, you can remove it. Like I said, it's clockwise for undoing it on the drive side. So remove it right out. Like so. Then you pull the bottom bracket out itself. Now this one just happens to be a Shimano UN55 cartridge, so they're sealed, bearings in them, all built inside the actual cartridge itself. You can see square taper on there, so this bit starts off smaller and gets slightly wider as it goes in. That's why the crank arm gets pulled onto it like so, and that means that when you can just take the nut out at the end of your crank arm. If you just remove the nut out the end, or threads in to there, and you wonder why the arm won't come off, it's because it's on a taper. That is the taper there, and the crank arm gets pulled onto that. Right guys, there's the steps complete for you, so I hope you found the video helpful. If you did, remember to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more cycle related content. Until next one, ride safe and I'll see you then.